Welcome to the channel, guys. My name is Jess. So over the last 2 weeks, Bitcoin has been steadily grinding upwards and has now reclaimed a few crucial levels of macro support. We're going to dive into today's video to talk about the massive breakout that Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market is on the verge on, what exactly that would mean, and everything that you need to watch out for. Before we jump in, make sure you guys smash that like button and subscribe to the channel to get regular Bitcoin analysis every Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday. And join my free Telegram for more regular Bitcoin updates. If you're a trader and you're interested in my VIP channel, be sure to message me on Telegram. VIP gives you exclusive access to my personal trading setups with exact entry points, targets, and stop losses. Alrighty guys, so jumping right into the weekly time frame for some context, we can see here that Bitcoin over the last 2 to 3 weeks has been steadily grinding upwards ever since we tapped the 50 EMA, the sort of bull bear trigger here or marker here on the weekly time frame, as well as 44.1 on the RSI being a sort of baseline for bull market momentum. We have seen a recovery from Bitcoin thus far, and so far the recovery has led us to not only reclaim a couple levels of really crucial macro support, which we'll go over in a moment on the daily and the short time frame, but also we have gone on to just about retest our massive macro structural downtrend here, the 2025 downtrend here on Bitcoin, where we have consistently printed lower highs on the price action for both Bitcoin and altcoins across the entirety of the year. So pretty big moment right now for Bitcoin. And if we take a look at market data, we can see we are starting to see just a little bit of a slowdown as we approach that massive level of resistance. 24-hour volume is down, open interest is down a little, and so are liquidations. In fact, liquidations have been slowing down across the entirety of the week as we move closer and closer to that massive level of resistance. So we are on the verge of seeing a really big breakout for Bitcoin. So let's dive into the video today to talk about everything that we're seeing here and the likelihood that that breakout is going to happen and what it would mean for both Bitcoin and altcoins. So taking a deeper look here on the daily time frame, let's talk about, first of all, what's going to actually signal the breakout, right? What do we mean when we talk about a massive breakout from Bitcoin? So of course we have the structural downtrend, right? But on top of that, we also have a couple other crucial levels of resistance that we've been watching now for the last couple of weeks. So first of all, we have horizontal resistance, $91,000 to $92,000. That also marks out this sort of prior low in that pattern forming lower highs, as well as the 50 EMA, which would be sort of a momentum indicator. If we flip the 50 EMA, we're essentially saying that the momentum and price action across the last 2 weeks or 2 to 3 weeks has been greater than we've exhibited across, this entire 50 period, so 50-day trend. And then of course we have the RSI as well. Now on the RSI, we have already seen a breakout, right? RSI is generally leading to the price action, and we can see here that in the last or the previous daily candle close, we actually managed to push the RSI above 51.35, which had historically been quite a strong level of resistance here, right? Where we had consistently printed these equal highs across both of these lower highs, right? So that was one of the first signs that this retest of the 50 EMA was going to be a failure because momentum wasn't flipping positive here. And then we have had the subsequent breakout over here. So we're seeing essentially the momentum as we approach this 50 EMA resistance this time is higher. So we're seeing more bullish pressure than we saw in these prior to retests over here. So that is a good sign, and is a leading sign that the probabilities here at resistance are more likely to result in a break than we have seen in the past. Now that doesn't always mean that we're going to see a break though, because of course the price action itself has to actually confirm that the breakout is happening. So that's going to start with, as I just mentioned, a push above the 50 EMA and then a push towards this horizontal level of resistance. And aside from being just the prior high, we can see it acting as a base of really crucial support in the past, right? It is a trigger level that generally takes Bitcoin up to the next level and back into the prior daily range at $100,000. Now, before we saw this massive breakdown from Bitcoin here to go all the way down to $78,000 and $76,000, we were traveling pretty consistently within this sort of horizontal channel here, where between $91,000 and $100,000, we were sort of in a neutral chop zone, and then being able to push above $99,000 and establish support at that level was when Bitcoin was able to actually go on and retest and create those sort of all-time high levels. So we had $108,000 being the all-time high in February, and then $110,000 being the all-time high in January. In both of those instances, we had 99,000 or 100,000 flip to support beforehand, right? So it was a really crucial trigger level. Otherwise, in the failure to, I guess, retain support at that level, we generally saw a move right back down to $91,000, the base of that horizontal range. So that sort of maps out the upwards trajectory that we have here in the breakout. First of all, being the 50 EMA, we've got to clear that on the daily time frame. 91 and 92.5K resistance, that needs to be cleared, and then Bitcoin will form its first higher high in the entirety of 2025. And we can expect then, in holding that as a base of support, a movement then to 99K, a break above that, and establishment of that as support should then push us to retest those upper levels of resistance, starting at $106,000 to $110,000, the all-time high. So that is the sort of breakout that we're looking for, and that's what's going to be the subsequent sequential series of, I guess, price action that we will see that triggers that breakout and pushes Bitcoin steadily upwards. Now, on the flip side, if we don't see that and we continue to see a rejection of the 50 EMA and we eventually fall back below 51.35 on the momentum, so we've exhausted the buying pressure at that level of resistance, it is very likely then that Bitcoin will see a continued rejection. Now, first of all, on the short time frame, we have a level of support at 85,000, but below that is very likely when we'll see a retracement back down to the range low, potentially at $78,000 and $76,000. So that would mean that we've had a failed breakout, and that would signal then that, you know, we're not going to see the bullish price action that we are on the very cusp of seeing right now. So heading over to the 4-hour time frame, or the short time frame, is where we can sort of see the triggers and the warnings for that, I guess, bullish or bearish price action that we're looking out for on the daily time frame. So of course, let's talk about that continuation of the potential bearish case scenario, right? So everything is starting to look quite bullish on the daily time frame, but what's going to invalidate that is a breakdown first on the short time frame. So over here we can see the mapping out of the last 2 to 3 weeks of bullish price action here in our uptrend. It has confluence with the RSI, doesn't map out the contact points on the trend line perfectly, but we can see that momentum has been building up bullish over the last couple of weeks. And that is going to be our main sort of bearish trigger if we were to see a breakdown. So if Bitcoin ends up losing the trend line that we've exhibited over the last couple of weeks, which would also mean the loss of the 50 EMA on the 4-hour time frame, it is very likely then that we will head back down on a short time frame bearish trajectory, and therefore reject off those high time frame resistances that we are currently retesting on the daily chart as well. So what that would look like, first of all, is a retest of the prior low at $83,600, and then we have $81,000, and then the range low there at $76,000. And also we have, because we have the RSI uptrend, we can sort of use that as a leading indicator for whether or not momentum is dropping enough to signal that that break is going to happen. Now, on the flip side, if we end up pushing above the current structure, our ascending wedge, right? And ascending wedges don't always play out, but essentially they map out that as we're traveling in a bullish trajectory, volatility is slipping, right? We're compressing, and so as we see that compression, it could potentially be a sign of bullish exhaustion moving into resistance. Now that usually would be signaled by the RSI as well. So until we see the RSI breakdown, it's not really confirmed that we're going to see a breakdown of the wedge. Wedges like this can tend to invalidate sometimes. So that means then, if we want to see the bullish case scenario, we want to see an invalidation of the wedge. So we want to push above this upper trend line over here, right? See that bullish price action is actually no longer compressing. And then, of course, that would lead to the breakout of our macro downtrend here, right? And we're very close to it, only probably a couple candles away from seeing an actual retest. So really crucial price action to be looking out for on Bitcoin over the next short time period. Let's go over and talk about what that would mean for altcoins. If we head over to total 3, then we can see a structure that we talked about a couple weeks ago, right? Where we have ever since been essentially waiting for the breakout of. Now that structure is a bullish one. It is a descending wedge, and it should have, which it currently kind of is, coincided with the breakout from Bitcoin as well. Now, if you guys have been trading lately or just taking a look at the altcoin market, altcoins have been behaving really erratically, right? Any small movements upwards from Bitcoin has resulted in quite large movements from most of the altcoins that I've been charting. And so that's kind of a good sign, right? We're seeing interest and volatility creep back into altcoins, which is a really good sign. And if we take a look at total 3, we can see that we have flipped momentum positive on the RSI. We've broken above a massive downtrend here, as well as seen a structural breakout of our descending wedge pattern. So following the structural breakout here, what we're looking for is, of course, for Bitcoin to see the same breakout, because if Bitcoin ends up going back down to 76K, it doesn't matter that we've seen a structural breakout. It's very likely that altcoins will continue tumbling downwards as well. But also specifically talking about total 3, we want to see a breakout of the 50 EMA, which we're currently retesting, very similar to Bitcoin. And then a recovery above this massive level of support / resistance at $840 billion. We can see it acting as that really crucial level of support over here. And so moving back upwards, we want to flip that level once again as support to facilitate a bullish continuation. And that first stage in the bullish continuation will be $950 billion, right? And then, of course, all the way back up to retest these sort of upper ranges, right, at $1 trillion and 1.16 trillion, these sort of all-time high levels, right? And that is also where the measured move of this structure takes us to go. So logically speaking, or just on a basis of technical analysis, if we continue to see momentum build up from both Bitcoin and altcoins, this is the very least of where altcoins should go. So that would mean a complete total 3 recovery and a movement back up to all-time highs and potentially price discovery. So very often a big question when we have big breakouts from Bitcoin is whether or not altcoins are actually prepped to do the same. And so it looks like here from total 3 that they are, right? We're seeing similarly bullish developments across total 3 and Bitcoin. And so when we see the breakout from Bitcoin, or if we see the breakout from Bitcoin, it would be a very good sort of opportunity to find good positions for altcoins as well, right? They're looking similarly strong. Total 3 is looking similarly strong. Alrighty guys, that is a wrap on the analysis today. Thank you for tuning in for another episode. If you guys liked the video or you learned something, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel to get regular Bitcoin analysis every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. And join my free Telegram channel for more regular updates. If you're a trader and you're interested in my VIP channel, don't forget to contact me on Telegram for more details. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye!